Well, I wanted to give you a list of do's and don'ts for good communication. So let's get the don'ts out of the way first, kind of the ugly side, right? Don't think dropping hints is an effective means of communication. I have to say that I had a conversation with my husband today. We were talking about the differences between men and women, because I mean there are so many differences. And I said, I was actually talking about how almost all men I know are aggressive drivers. Can you relate with this?
Yes.
Every time we get in the car, I'm like, oh Lord. I mean, usually I say this out loud now. I go, oh Lord, help me. And my husband just laughs. He goes, oh yeah. Because he's just like, it's like a race. The minute you get in the car, and he's telling the other drivers, what are you doing that for? What are you doing that? And I'm like, oh my goodness, could we just drive one time without you commenting on every driver? But it's just like how a lot of men are wired, right? And so I said, what is the one thing that women do that is perplexing to men? If there's one thing that men just kind of go, why do they do that? Guess what he came up with? Of all the things, I didn't prompt it. It was an open-ended question. He came up with this one. Why don't they just say what they want? Why don't they just say it? We don't understand. Why do they hint? Why do they just hope that we'll guess? He said, we don't understand that. Men don't understand. Why don't you just say what you're thinking? Say what you want. We just want you to tell us. And I'm like, oh, well. There's a concept. So, yeah, stop dropping hints. Stop hoping or just saying to yourself, as we've all done this, he should just know. Haven't you said that to yourself? He doesn't know. So just tell him. Okay, next one. Don't be deceitful by withholding the whole truth, misleading or lying. That's kind of obvious, but sometimes we do mislead or maybe kind of fudge a little here and there, right? Don't be bossy. Colossians 3:18 says wives are supposed to submit to their husbands as is fitting in the Lord. You should not be running the household. You should not be the one that's the dominant person telling him what to do, telling everyone what to do, and he's just kind of like along for the ride. You should not be the boss of him. That's not how it's supposed to look in marriage. Don't be obnoxious toward your husband. There's a concept. Ephesians 5:33, the wife's supposed to respect her husband. Don't talk before thinking. Oh dear. Proverbs 12:18, the words of the reckless pierce like a sword. Have you ever done that? Where, you said something, blurred something out, and then you thought, I would like to take that back. But you can't, because it's already out there. So maybe just pause before, Don't live in fear. Again, that same Proverbs 29, right? Fear of man will prove to be a snare. So don't live in fear, because you will not be an effective communicator if you're living in fear. Don't be judgmental. Ugh, because that's so ugly. Is that not the ugliest quality, when someone is judgmental? So don't be that way toward your husband. Don't be judgmental. Matthew 7 talks all about that. Don't be filled with pride. Proverbs 13:10 says, pride only breeds quarrels. Don't be filled with pride. Don't let your temper take over. Proverbs 14:29, whoever is patient has great understanding, but one who is quick-tempered displays folly. Don't be quarrelsome. There are a whole bunch of proverbs about that, right? The quarrelsome wife, one of them is Proverbs 21:19. Better to live in a desert than with a quarrelsome and nagging wife. Don't be a chatterbox and talk too much. Also, my husband added a little point here. He said, don't be a loud chatterbox. He said there's nothing more unattractive than a really overly loud and talkative woman. I don't know. So don't be that person. Yeah. Actually, there's a proverb on that one too. Proverbs 10:8, a chattering fool comes to ruin. Isn't it interesting that Proverbs covers so many of these things? Oh. Don't be uncompassionate toward your husband's point of view, but extend mercy. And don't allow yourself to grow bitter and resentful toward your husband. Hebrews 12:15, don't let any bitter root grow up among you to cause trouble and defile many. Okay, so those are the don'ts, but here are the do's. Because I've had some wives say, well, what does it look like if you have good communication? What is that even supposed to be like? Because I have no clue. Okay, here are the do's. This is what good communication would look like, right? Do be peaceful and calm. peaceful and calm. Because you trust Jesus to take care of you and those you love. So you can be peaceful and calm, right? Peaceful and calm. Be concise and simple. Because men do not like long, complicated discussions and details. And let me tell you, when I woke up at 7:13 this morning, first I turned over in the bed, and then I got out and found my slippers, and then I went over to the sink, and then I brushed my teeth, and that took about 2 minutes. And I mean, you know, you've lost them after I turned over in the bed, you know. So I mean, they don't want to hear every little detail and complicated explanations, even though we love to talk. That's why I'm up here. But you know, but they just like it to be just like, can you just get direct and to the point? Keep it simple. That's the next point. Be direct in stating your needs or desires instead of hinting, right? No hinting. Be respectful. Do be respectful. Do be loving. Do be gentle. Boy, you know what? If we could just get that one piece down, if we could be gentle, that would probably go a long ways in improving communication. It's when we start getting defensive and either shut down or become aggressive that he's going to kind of back off, and now we're at a stalemate. But if we can just continue being gentle, be honest in a kind way, be honest, be humble. Here's a huge one, be flexible. As in cheerfully working toward compromise on all issues unless it's immoral or sinful. But be flexible, eager to find a compromise where you are not the winner and neither is he. You've actually come toward a compromise. Wouldn't that be awesome? Be encouraging. Maintain eye contact with your man. Now I do have to back up and say on this one, sometimes in a very difficult conversation, it's best not to have eye contact with your man. Because sometimes in deep, intense conversations, men will actually do better if they're side by side with you doing an activity of some sort, like riding bikes or walking or driving in the car. So you have to judge each situation independently, but in general for communication, it's respectful to actually like acknowledge that your husband's trying to talk to you and actually look at him, as opposed to like, I'm really famous for this. My husband has to constantly correct me. Because I'm like so busy working, and he's talking, I'm like, no, I'm not even looking at him. And he goes, could you like maybe look at me? I'm like, oh, yes, I could. I lead a wives group, so I'm just going to get right on that. Yeah. But so most times it's kind of a sign of respect to actually look at him if he's trying to communicate with you. Listen attentively. I know this is kind of like not rocket science, but sometimes we're not listening attentively because guess what we're doing? Planning what we're going to say. Yes, right. The brilliant next point we're going to make. Yeah. Always strive to understand and value his perspective. Do you do that? Do you actually try to understand his perspective? Huge game changer in communication. When I do that, it makes all the difference in the world. Like, why would he be thinking this? Or why would he be saying that? If I try to get into his shoes for a minute, like, why would he be doing that? And ask God to help me consider his perspective, it just makes all the difference in the world, because now I have maybe more of a tender heart, I kind of get what he's saying, and now we can actually work on a compromise. Be watchful for the right time to communicate important matters, probably when he's not hungry or tired, and be careful to avoid jumping to conclusions or reading between the lines.